am Mecha42, your favorite YouTube harpy, and we are doing a quick recap of the Orville episode 5, season 2, All the World is a Birthday Cake. So, first off, spoiler-free part. I liked this episode. There were a few weird little plot holes and things in my head that I'm like, maybe this isn't the greatest episode. I'd probably give this about a 6.5 out of 10. It deals with like some interesting premises. It deals with you probably saw in the trailer. The most spoilers I give away is like it deals with like a first contact situation. And there were just a few weird little plot holes, a few little things like, okay, they do this, but it has no effect in the end, sort of things. And I'll get more into that in spoilers. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest episode, but it was still really, really good. It's still miles above Discovery. And wow, it was kind of one of those episodes of the Orville where I don't know if it's going to hold up that well on the rewatch. But I think it's still going to hold up better than Discovery. Yeah, it's definitely about a 6.5 out of 10. There were some really good moments. There were some really kind of cringy sort of moments. And then there was, like I said, there were some moments of, wait a minute, if this is the case, why didn't they do this? So just a couple of little technical issues with the kind of plot resolution. Good acting, good chemistry. They did a few mix-ups of like, putting a couple of crew together that we normally don't see together. So I kind of like that. And all in all, they did kind of an interesting premise of, here's our first contact and things aren't quite what they seem. They did it pretty well. They did a decent job. I mean, it is a kind of a trope that's very common in a lot of science fiction. And I think they did an okay job. I don't think they really dropped the ball too much except for some of the resolution. They did take some interesting sort of common tropes and they kind of give it a little bit of a twist. So I think you'll enjoy this episode. If you're an Orville fan, you'll probably watch it anyway. I wouldn't suggest skipping it. I think it's a perfectly interesting episode, and it kind of shows a good consequence from what Captain Mercer had to kind of deal with in the last episode, just a little bit. And I'll get more into that in the spoiler section. So I don't really give away the plot of another episode either. But yeah, all in all, about 6.5 out of 10. So let's get into the spoiler part of this episode. You've been warned. Full spoilers. Turn off the video if you don't want spoilers. This episode is All the World is a Birthday Cake. And it opens with Kelly and Bortus having, they're talking about having the same birthday. Or I think they're within like 3 days of each other. So Kelly wants to do kind of like a group birthday sort of thing, so it'd be a bigger party. And Bortus is like not really amused by it, and super like, nope, we don't want to. So they're kind of setting up Kelly and Bortus together as sort of like the crew. Like I mentioned, we're getting a different sort of settings or setups for different kind of, okay, we're following these two crew members when they're like off on their own. So that was kind of where I was going with that. There's also the new introduction of our new crew member, the Chilean girl. I cannot remember her name, played by Jessica Sozar. So she's kind of cool. She does kind of have like a little bit of a smoker voice, but she's sort of tough and sassy and sarcastic, and I like her. She's really likable. She has some good lines. She's really funny. She's talking about a previous post where she punched her captain because, well, it's okay. It was fine. She didn't get any consequences for it, and it was the right thing to do. Kind of like a big FU to Discovery, I think, because basically her and her old captain, like, they came upon like a society that's all matriarchal, so she had to show dominance or whatever, so she punched her captain out of the blue. Kind of fun. And she's like, oh, don't worry, I'll gladly take down anybody if they're gonna like fuck you up. And she does pay off a little at the end. She does kind of go after a guy. She lifts him up by a neck towards the end of this episode, trying to protect Ed and Kelly and everybody. So it's kind of awesome. So that's that's kind of like the subplot is, here's our new crew member. How does she incorporate into the crew? So this episode's kind of interesting. And after the credits, I believe we get into the meat of the episode where the Orville receives like a call saying, hey, is there anybody out there? Kind of like a SETI sort of call. Very Star Trek, very, very, very kind of interesting. We also learned some of the Planetary Union's rules, kind of like first contact situations, kind of like their prime directive. Basically, if a society wants to contact alien species, or if they can travel through hyperspace or light speed or whatever their terminology, their version of warp is. I can't remember off the top of my head. So that's one of the reasons, or one of the ways that they can get in contact with new species. So the Orville is the only ship in the area, and they're like, oh my god, first contact! They're so excited. Everybody on the ship is like just stoked. Really awesome too, because they're just stoked by this. And God, it's such a Star Trek moment. So they take like most of the main crew down on a shuttle, go and meet these people, and these people are like, oh my god, aliens, this is awesome, and thank you guys so much, and blah blah blah. And it seems too good to be true. So until like Claire's off getting a tour of the medical facility, she notices that they're giving C-sections to women for no reason. Like they're actually putting the child and the mother at risk by having C-sections early. And yeah, and it's so weird. So we find out that, okay, that's kind of weird, but why are they doing that? And that kind of comes back in a little bit here, but. So the next scene, they're like at the dinner table with like all of these diplomats, and you see it in the trailer for the whole season. It's really awesome. Or with like all the leaders of this planet, and they're like, here's how we do things, and welcome to the galaxy, blah blah blah, all the cool Star Trekky stuff. And then Kelly says, oh my god, I couldn't have asked for a better birthday present. It's my birthday this week. And they flip their shit. These guys on the planet, they're like, oh my god, how dare you? You brought one of these horrible, I can't remember their names. Let's just say Aries or something. Because that's what we find out, is that everybody born under the star sign on their planet gets sent off into an internment camp. That's kind of the twist, and that's why the babies are getting born premature. They're getting premature C-sections, so they're not born during this star sign, this bad luck star sign. So it's really interesting to see a whole planet like based on astrology instead of religion, but it's kind of as a substitute for that, like the weird religions of some of these planets. So of course, and because it brings back to the opening scene of Kelly and Bortus, who had their birthday together. So Kelly and Bortus are thrown into this internment camp, and of course this planet guy like flips his shit because, how dare they bring these, because apparently people born under the sign on this planet are prone to being criminals, murderers, criminal behavior, just bad people. And it's such a weird sort of premise, but it works. It's very neat. It's very Star Trek. It's something that they would do in Star Trek. We would do planetary exploration, first contact situations. You would take the common trope of, okay, this is a very backwards religious planet who are very superstitious, and you would turn that on its head and be, okay, they're astrologically obsessed. Now, here's the part that kind of bothers me, though. When they realize that there's life out there on other planets, like they have to kind of know, okay, well, this is how a solar system works, and then these people are coming from other solar systems. I think they would kind of immediately start to question, oh shit, how does our astrology apply to these other people? Because those other people would have been born, thousands and thousands of light years away or whatever. Different galaxies, different star systems. So that's one of the kind of plot questions that I had that kind of bothered me, that, okay, they were still so insistent, even after meeting people from other planets, other galaxies, other solar systems, right? Not galaxies. They would still be so caught up on their superstition, their astrological superstition. That kind of didn't sit right with me. So that was one of the kind of plot points I didn't like. One of the ways that they try and fix this, Kelly and Bortus try and actually break out. They end up murdering a whole bunch of people out of this internment camp. They're in very much a internment camp, a prisoner of war sort of camp sort of situation. They try and shoot a whole bunch of people to kind of break out. That actually doesn't end up doing anything. So basically these two officers of the Union shot a bunch of guards and actually killed a bunch of people for no reason, doesn't really matter for the end of the plot. And in the actual, like, the people on the ship are the ones who figure out a way to kind of get them released, but that doesn't really kind of line up either. So they figure out a way to, or they figure out why everybody born under the sign is kind of viewed as bad luck or evil or whatever, or horrible people, criminals, is because when they started really worshiping this astrological stuff, they had seen a star just kind of go out in the night sky. It had burned out, it had turned into a black hole, gone supernova, whatever, and that is what kind of triggered, that was the catalyst to their sort of religion, their culture. So they, on the Orville, decide to rig like a reflector sort of sail thing up to reflect the light and look like that star comes back, or had come back. That was another kind of weird plot point, because Kelly and Bortus, they got caught after trying to like murder their way out of this prisoner camp. They're getting it executed, but then, you know, some random prisoner or guard or whatever looks up and like, oh shit, there's the star, it came back. And Kelly and Bortus are like, what the hell's going on? So that was one of the weird plot things that didn't really line up. There's more of this episode too. I didn't spoil absolutely everything. There's some other little interesting Star Trek-y moments, like, oh, I can see why they did that, and I can see why that's a tough choice, rock in a hard place situation. I don't want to spoil every bit of this episode. Please go watch this episode. It's actually really interesting, despite my little nitpicks. And like, I do want to stress, they're little nitpicks about this episode. It's not something that's sort of earth-shattering. It's not like the end of the world sort of bad episode sort of thing. It's just a little nitpick. It's if I have to complain about something, if I have to find something they could improve on. And yeah, at the end of the day, though, it's a really enjoyable episode. It felt like Star Trek. It really felt cool and interesting and philosophical in a lot of ways. And it took that, like I said, it took that, you know, they have this planet of a religion trope, and they did it in an interesting new way, and I liked that. One more thing. There's an awesome kind of cameo guest star in there. Ted Danson comes in as an admiral. So Seth MacFarlane, Captain Mercer has to ask what to do to break his people out, or can we get them out? Can we not? This is a first contact situation. This is like worse than just, you know, hey, we did something wrong and we're imprisoned. And like I said earlier, it kind of comes back. I think that Ed absolutely does what the Admiral says in this episode, because he's kind of on thin ice a little bit after letting the Krill woman go. That was kind of one of those things where he could really be disciplined. So I think he wanted to set it a little, or play it a little more straight this time around, or a little more close to the rules. I think that's what happened there. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below if you watched this episode. Do you think that's why he didn't just go in and break Kelly and Bortus out? What do you guys think? Did you like this episode? Were there like any other inconsistencies? What did you think of some of the other really good debatable moments? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I am Mecha Random 42, and I will see you guys on the next video or live stream. Bye! Thanks for watching! If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button, and if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!